email apnea is temporary cessation of breath or shallow breathing while doing email. Because as we sit at our computers, we get to the point where we start leaning forward, our posture is compromised, you can't get an optimal breath. But also, with the emotion of anticipation, you're inhaling, and then when there's one email after another, you never fully exhale. And so this also puts our bodies into fight or flight. So between continuous partial attention and this email apnea that can happen to you whether you're texting or whether you're in front of a computer, what ends up happening is that you're really, again, upregulating your sympathetic or fight or flight nervous system. And the example that I can think of is if you hear a noise that surprises you, what's the first thing you do? You inhale and hold your breath, and you're really quiet, and you're trying to figure out where the noise is coming from, and you're preparing to run. Your body is dumping glucose and cholesterol and cortisol, and hormonally you're prepared to run. Every part of you is prepared to run. So breathing, your breath, your inhale in anticipation, and your breath holding is a cue for your nervous system that you're getting ready to run from a predator. Only for most of us, if we're sitting at a computer, if we're texting, we're sitting there in this swamp of hormones and physiological preparation to run, and we're just sitting there. So one of the things that I learned in the study of all this, once I realized that there was this compromise of breathing when we were working with technology, was that we cease to be embodied in some way. We're embodied neck up, and so it causes us to be more impulsive, more anxious, and it turns out that breathing and attention and breathing and emotion are commutative. That is, if you are doing a certain breathing pattern, it correlates with certain attention patterns. Mm-hmm. If you have a certain emotion or attention pattern, you are likely breathing a certain way. This is why you can do a breathing intervention and it can shift your ability to pay attention. Or you can do a breathing intervention and it can shift how you feel emotionally. This, breathe slowly and count to 10 does really calm you down. And what I realized was, as we were starting to figure out that our attention was so compromised, we started to think up all these clever ways where the technology would say, okay, you've just sent 30 emails, you're blocked from email for 10 minutes. Or get up and take a walk, where the technology was becoming the dictator and bullying the person sitting there. And that's not, I think, the most constructive way to do this. I think it's much more constructive to say, how do I really, locus of control with me, get control of my attention? Well, it turns out that you can do that through breath, or you can do that through summoning a positive emotional state like gratitude or love. And you can use tools like biofeedback-based tools. I was showing some this weekend at a meeting here where you could put on a heart rate variability ear clip. You could, it would read your pulse and your heart rate, and you would see a visual cue while you were sitting at the computer. You would see a visual cue on a device to the side of the computer that would indicate to you whether you were in a coherent breathing state or whether your autonomic nervous system was dysregulated. And you could get a sense of, looks like I'm dysregulated. I'll slow my breathing down and see what happens. Now, if you're doing email and you're able to stay in this calm state, turns out you don't have all those disabling thoughts. I have so much to do, I'll never get it done. And you're embodied and your judgment is better. I can delete this, I don't really need to answer this. But when you're in this state of overwhelm that comes from this fight or flight state, then you don't know what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. Everything suddenly has a sense of urgency to it that maybe is not so real. Maybe it's imagined.
But does that affect, I guess productivity can be affected that way too, if you're thinking that,
sure,
that almost puts everything out of whack on your list. Then you can't prioritize as well. Mm-hmm. The whole stress thing, because I guess
everything gets prioritized and you end up feeling overwhelmed and you end up trying to manage your time and you are compromised in your ability to manage your attention. So
That's definitely me. I know
So,
that I have
so
that.
so breath turns out to be a great tool. In and out through your nose, because that's more calming than through your mouth. And think about it, when you're running from a predator, you're breathing through your mouth. So when you're wanting to calm yourself, breathe in and out through your nose, slow it way down. I mean, some say an exhale that's twice as long as the inhale. Some say it doesn't matter as long as you're breathing from your belly, so that all your organs are getting massaged when you breathe.
So learning to listen to the body is important, whereas before, if you had something come up and say you're blocked after doing your 30 emails, that could wreck a state of flow, which we seem to be, Dana's talking about.
Locus of control is removed from you. I mean, how effective is it to take locus of control away? Not so much. I mean, look at dieting programs that take locus of control away, have a 1% success rate. We need to have a sense of agency if we are going to be able to maintain behavior change. If it's coming from outside of us, it doesn't hold. Not going to work.